What's up everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com and welcome to my detailed overview and install of the Xtreme Stop cross-drilled and slotted front and rear rotor kit with their carbon graphite pads, available for your 2011 through 2014 Brembo GT, your 2012 and 13 Boss 302, and your 07 to 12 GT 500. So the Xtreme Stop kit that we have in this video should appeal to Brembo owners out there looking for a quality drilled and slotted rotor replacement, but more importantly, you're going to be after a very aggressive pad compound to increase your braking performance. Now, in fact, Xtreme Stop does claim that their carbon graphite options with this kit will offer you roughly a 25% increase in braking performance over your factory pad. Compare that to Xtreme Stop's other pad in the category, the ceramic, which is going to offer you a 15% increase in stopping performance over those same factory pads. Prospective buyers will also need to be aware of the fact that the carbon graphite pads will have a slightly shorter lifespan compared to those ceramic options we just talked about, and therefore will kick out a little bit more dust compared to those ceramic options as well. So with all that in mind, I would recommend the carbon graphite pad options for the owners who might track their car a little bit more frequently, and then the ceramic pads would be the perfect choice for my daily drivers out there. As far as your install process, guys, well, 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, middle of the road here, guys, when it comes time to get everything installed. Brakes really aren't all that difficult, but there are some steps involved, and we will cover that a little bit later in the video. Pricing wise, you're going to find the Xtreme Stop kit in the low $400 range, making it the most affordable for your Brembo car on the site currently that will offer you both a rotor and pad replacement. Compare that to the PowerStop Z26 kit, going to be a little bit closer to that $500 mark. Keep in mind though, guys, both kits are going to offer you roughly the same thing with some slight differences in the pad material and overall manufacturing. So Xtreme Stop, maybe you heard of them, maybe you haven't. They are a Canadian-based braking company with a combined 30+ years in the industry, with the #1 goal of providing you guys with some affordable braking solutions for a wide variety of applications. Now, they do take a pretty unique approach to designing and actually manufacturing some of their components, more specifically their rotors here. For starters, Xtreme Stop is quick to point out that they try to maintain the same weight with their aftermarket rotors as the OE rotors. And some of you guys watching this are probably going, well, what's so special about that? If anything, I would want a lighter rotor, right? Well, you would think, but that's actually not the case according to Xtreme Stop. They say by shedding mass off the rotor itself, you are going to introduce some heating issues, which in turn can lead to some brake fade issues. So by incorporating the same weight as the OE rotor and also introducing the cross-drilled and slotted design here, Xtreme Stop claims that their rotors will help maintain a 30% cooler operating temperature when these things are pushed to the limit. Now, Xtreme Stop will also point out that some of those other aftermarket rotors in the category might be a little bit lighter, but to get them lighter, they have to use a thinner friction plate in addition to increasing the gaps between the vane here with the 2 plates themselves. Not the case with Xtreme Stop. Again, you're looking at an OE thickness for the friction plate, OE kind of style gap between the vanes between the rotors themselves, maintaining that factory weight with the rotor in addition to increasing the strength overall with the rotor. Sticking with the rotors a little bit further here, guys, they also feature that cross-drilled and slotted design, which has its merits, of course, but the idea being to help reduce that fade we talked about a little bit earlier by reducing the overall surface temperature with the rotor itself. Xtreme Stop also claims that the cross-drilled and slotted design will help maintain a cleaner friction surface overall here with the rotors, expelling any water or gas under hard braking scenarios, while the slots themselves are going to help clean the pad, so removing any dirt, debris, things like that, and helping to increase the friction overall. Now, the rotors themselves are zinc coated, so it's going to help reduce any rust over the years. And as far as the sizing for the rotors, well, they're sticking to the factory recipe here, gang. 14-inch rotor for the front, followed by an 11.8-inch rotor for the rear. But let's switch our focus over to Xtreme Stop's carbon graphite pad that is included with this particular kit. Again, the company's most aggressive compound they do offer for the Brembo Mustang. You can grab this same exact kit, guys, with a ceramic pad instead, and that ceramic pad will last you about 5,000 or so more miles than the carbon graphite option, depending on your driving style. So the carbon graphite pads that we do have in this video are Xtreme Stop's kind of flagship brake pad, and according to the company, they're going to help increase your braking performance by up to 25% when compared to the factory pads you are replacing. Xtreme Stop does claim that these are going to be relatively low noise and relatively low dust, but because they do have a slightly shorter lifespan, I would expect these guys to kick out just a little bit more dust than those other ceramic options that you can find on the site. But other than that, the pads are very much manufactured in the same way as your OE or factory pad. Positive mold process, they're post-cured, and Xtreme Stop claims that that's just going to help maintain a more consistent density with the pad material. Flip these guys over, you're going to find a rubber shim on the back, and that's just going to help reduce any extra noise during the braking process. But let's switch gears and get into the installation a little bit further with the Xtreme Stop kit. And as I pointed out at the very top of this video, gang, 2 out of 3 wrenches on my overall scale of difficulty, maybe a couple of hours from start to finish depending on your level of expertise and your setup. Listen, doing brakes like this isn't that hard, but there are some steps involved in addition to getting the car up in the air and the wheels off in order to complete the job. Tool-wise, well, you're looking at a basic socket set here, gang, in addition to a caliper tool, or maybe even a big old set of pliers to help you push the piston back into the caliper itself using those old brake pads. And last but not least, you are gonna need a way to get the car in the air, jack and jack stands, or a lift if you have access. Once you get the car in the air and your wheels off, you can get to work uninstalling the factory calipers using your socket set and removing the 2 bolts holding the caliper onto the factory bracket. With that uninstalled, simply place it out of the way using a bungee cord to secure it while you remove your rotors. Now, if this is the first time removing your factory rotors, you might encounter a couple of small silver clips on each stud here. This is just something that Ford uses to hold the new rotor onto the hub during the assembly line process. To remove these, just grab a set of needle nose pliers or a pair of clippers and simply pry them or cut them off. With the factory rotors out of the way, get to work installing the new Xtreme Stop rotors. Just be mindful because they are labeled left and right. Be sure to check those out before installing them onto your Mustang. With the rotor installed, you can now focus your efforts on the pad. So go ahead and remove your factory pads using your caliper tool to push the piston back into the physical caliper. With the caliper prepped, go ahead and install your new Xtreme Stop pads using the Moly Lube that is included with the kit. With the new pads installed on your calipers, reinstall the caliper on your brand new Xtreme Stop rotors, securing them with the 2 bolts you removed earlier. Repeat this process for the rest of your wheels and brakes, and your installation is complete. So wrapping things up, the Xtreme Stop kit with the Carbon Graphite Pad is a great and relatively affordable way to increase the stopping power in your Brembo-equipped S197 while adding a little bit of bling behind your favorite wheels in the process. That is my review of the Xtreme Stop kit, which you can grab right here at AmericanMuscle.com.